What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. Many years ago, when Putin wanted to seem like a decent president, he said that children should never be involved in anything war-related. Kids are kids, they just need to have a good childhood, study, be raised as good human beings, in loving and good, caring families. That was his promise about 2 decades ago. Fast forward to our times, and this promise is broken like, well, it never existed. The propaganda focus slowly switches from adults to children, because at this point Putin realizes that keeping this war simmering is what will keep his regime in power indefinitely. This is a one-stop solution to all his internal problems. Some uprising and dissent starts to form, well, just crank up the narrative of national pride and external enemies, and it puts most of your citizens in check. And since Putin wants to stay in power forever, his thinking horizons switch to the next generation. If you raise them full of patriotism and obedience, you will not even need to constantly remind them that there is war and that their leader needs their support. For them, it will be a given, a simple truth, like 2 + 2 = 4. And so it begins, a full-scale double-effort brainwashing of kids. They have military and patriotic classes in kindergartens. They dress up in military uniforms for celebrations. They recite wartime poems about the honorable sacrifices of Red Army heroes. And they even recreate the victory parade day itself. The talks about the important when Putin or any other government official went to schools and talked about the war, sacrifice and special military operation, well, apparently this was just the beginning. Now, it is all about the kids for the regime of Putin. Those adults who already wanted to go fight in Ukraine already did it. At least most of them. Focusing on extracting more souls from this well is getting more and more complicated. So, instead, Putin decided to switch his attention to the sacred and unspoiled, the lives of the young ones. Remember early days of YouTube? For example, Ray William Johnson and similar people who were just reacting and filming themselves to funny viral videos. This created the entire genre of videos for decades to come. In Russia, there is this guy, plus 100-500, Maxim Galosov, who was the first one to do the same here, but only focusing on videos from Russia itself. If you wondered where Slav memes and Slav lifestyle came from, well, look no further. He was one of the biggest contributors towards this whole thing. It was 2007-2010 and the post-Soviet thaw under Medvedev had unleashed a wave of online creativity. America was good for Russia at that time, believe it or not. The American humor was very specific to us, Russians, but it was a humor nevertheless. We laughed with Americans, not at Americans. Even Alexei Navalny himself was quietly uploading some funny videos and his very first exposes on LiveJournal and YouTube. His first big hit, called Fisting on the Pipe, exposed corruption in Moscow's utilities and drew hundreds of thousands of eyeballs, proof that the internet could spark some curiosity no matter what you upload. Yet millions still mostly turned into TVs for their news and updates on what is going in their country and abroad. For almost 20 years now, Maxim plus 100-500 has been uploading these videos. Not as often anymore, obviously, but well, he is still active. But the videos he is reacting to have changed. These are no longer cringe, drunk, Adidas-wearing punks dancing to hard bass and falling face first into the snow. No, not that much anymore. We're now in 2025, and the clips that get shared are not that funny anymore. They are snippets of kindergarten parades in full military regalia, ex-presidents lecturing kids in Stalinist tunics, and live broadcasting hosts revealing truth by accident. The portal that was once a playground for harmless fun has morphed into a battleground for propaganda, trauma, and broken promises. Maxim has not changed, his videos did. To his credit, he is against the war, so Maxim, if you're watching this, keep going, love your brother. And because his videos still get hundreds of thousands of views, the unintended publicity of children's militarization took place. Or who knows, maybe it was Maxim's plan all along. So let's try and figure out this right now. First of all, meet Yelana Puchenko, a United Russia deputy who runs the Dagestan Parliament's Education and Science Committee. On Telegram, she posted a video about a Victory Day parade at Rodnichok kindergarten, starring 200 tiny soldiers and one Minister of Defense of kindergarten, I guess. The preschoolers chanting "Hip hip hooray" like mini commissioners, marching by foot, driving military vehicles across their own version of Red Square, and alleged veterans sitting in the audience clapping to all this spectacle. Well, the highlight? A 3-year-old in full general's regalia addressing his peers with all the gravitas of a Soviet Politburo member. Cute? Terrifying? Well, you tell me.
Здравствуйте, товарищи! Поздравляю вас с 80-й годовщиной Великой Отечественной войны!
The kids look like they did not know even exactly what is going on. I mean, when I was 3, I barely even remember what I was doing. Probably learning basic math, learning to ride a bike, etc. Like, kid stuff. Definitely I was not talking about sacrificing my life for the greater good of the motherland. Do these kids even understand what they are doing and talking about? They recited the lines without grasping even the meaning of the word Great Patriotic War, veterans, memory of our great-grandfathers. For them these are just empty slogans shoved into their little brains like malfunctioning software. Their baffled glances said at all, why am I even wearing a helmet? Who are these old men? What are we celebrating? Well, spoiler alert, nobody asked the toddlers. They were props in a political stunt that adults scripted, directed, and then uploaded. This is not some Dagestani weirdness. Across Russia, elementary school teachers are handed drills and army banners, told to reenact Red Square ceremonies with fingernail painting precision. They march, salute, and mimic defense minister gestures while their actual minds and innocence is twisted in an irreversible manner. Kids are very easily influenced, obviously, as you guys know. And the way you raise them, it is the kind of adults they become. I went myself to a Soviet-style kindergarten, and no drills, no rubber rifles, nothing like this, just matryoshka dolls, trains, porridge, paintings, and naps. Now we're building emotional landmines for the next generation, and then acting surprised when their mental health suddenly blows up. Is this patriotism or psychological abuse? When kids mimic field kitchen troops as if cooking rations is a rite of passage, it's not a learning history, it is simply brainwashing. There is no celebration of veterans' real sacrifices, just a carnival of military cosplay. We are not teaching lessons, we are not replaying an outdated movie with vulnerable actors who don't even know they are on camera. And those kids will carry those images, good or bad, deep into their own adulthoods. Well, this is the most concerning type of propaganda in my opinion. Another, much more aggressive, is happening along the way as well, which is 1984 Minute of Hatred style of propaganda by Dmitry Medvedev, the guy who supposedly loved the West when he was the president himself. Let's talk about him, guys, right now. Enter Dmitry Medvedev, former president turned public speaker, the herald of hate and toxicity, who now walks on the stage of the Knowledge Organization's event. He's dressed like he raided a 1930s uniform shop, and I mean, seriously, who thought that that look was a good idea for a lecture titled Our Modern World? He looked straight like a, dictator from Asian country or something. But anyways, for 90 minutes he was going through historical grievances, blamed the West for every post-war hiccup, and tossed out insults like Atlantic impotence sufferers and zoological scumbags. These are the ones which I can say here. If you needed proof that politics makes people insane, well, this is the best proof. Imagine the ex-president of the US, Joe Biden, going on a stage to talk in front of kids and teenagers and speaking in the language of 15th century pirates. Well, that's just not going to happen ever. What a spectacle that was, though. A combination of Nazi uniform collage of Friedrich Merz and cherry-picked hateful quotes from Medvedev's own social media. Because nothing says like academic debate, like profanity-level name-calling. He ranted about the Iron Curtain and the Cold War as if nostalgia for division was some kind of untapped geopolitical superpower. School kids and college students just sat their mouths open, wondering if this was a lecture or a fevered dream. Why would Medvedev demean himself even in this way? Because he's got to appear more extreme than ultra-loyalists, more deranged than the hardliners, just so nobody eyeballs him as a future Kremlin's contender. He is stuck in a political dilemma. He needs to stay relevant, but he cannot risk being the next Putin. As a result, cringe-worthy circus tricks served as education and, well, people pay attention to him, but nobody takes him seriously. Kids leave more confused than inspired, their takeaways soaked in paranoia and insults rather than critical thinking. Notice the same pattern, by the way, guys. Kids again, not adults, are the targets of these most recent brainwashing seminars. This was not obviously a one-time thing. Medvedev's performances are a masterclass in self-sabotage, showing that even a polite technocrat can get swept up in a theater of authoritarian survival. It is not about teaching history or sparking curiosity. It's about preserving power by humiliating your audience into unthinkable loyalty. Well, and the cruelest joke here, those kids will remember his rants long after they're out of school and started working in every branch and industry in Russia and even abroad. Finally, now let's talk about Sergey Karnov on Solovyov Live. He and Anastasia Kashevarova were dissecting PTSD and domestic abuse amongst special military operation veterans. And then he suddenly dropped a line so outrageous it went viral. He told a worried wife to kiss feet of her husband as a thank you for his service, or else. What if he gets aggressive? Well, he said just do nothing and take punches like a champ. I kid you not. Imagine advising a victim of assault to suck it up because her spouse served the motherland. The clip set social media alight with rage, not applause, even the patriots were fuming. In true propagandistic style, Karnov turned back and, well, tried to backpedal on Telegram, but ended up just posting a war backstory, basically a commander who was haunted by the cries of the soldiers he could not save, and that's why he said, well, he gets aggressive when he hears baby crying. That was his excuse. His confession became like a raw anti-war manifesto, proof that propaganda stars sometimes spill their own poison. When your own propagandists leak tragic truth, you know that the system is starting to slowly lose control. And then there is singer Valeria, the pop star, filmed singing a Stalin-era song, Where Does Motherland Begin? And she did it in front of what looked like a bombed-out ruins. Logically, there was an outrage. People assumed that this rubble were civilian Ukrainian cities. A tasteless mockery of real suffering. Turns out it was just a movie set. But, well, nobody asked. They saw distraction, they saw propaganda, and they detonated online with fury, basically A, B, C. No need to think. So yeah, right there, guys, do you miss just these old days when funny videos online were just innocent cat fails and, I don't know, epic skateboarding wipeouts? Those were videos that brought strangers together in laughter, not suspicion or fear. Today's viral clips are toxic tests for our broken reality. Tiny soldiers reciting propaganda, ex-presidents in Nazi cosplay, talking about eliminating all nations except Russians, but still Ukrainians are Nazis somehow, and propagandists confessing war crimes and staged rebel posting as atrocity. Defeat is not Funhouse Mirror anymore, it is unfortunately a hall of horrors. Well, there you have it, guys. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. On Monday we're gonna have another third episode of Thank God It's Monday podcast, and the new guest is really exciting. I'm sure you guys will love him. Very excited for you to see the video and to read your comments. Once again, please subscribe to my channel. If you want to support my work, there are links down below. Thanks so much for watching. See you on Monday.
To sway. We do not believe in ridiculous Russian propaganda.